Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So I'd like to offer my greetings and welcome everyone this evening. So for most people in the beginning, when they come to meditation, when they come to practice Dhamma, to practice Buddhism, the one of the main driving forces, the main reasons they come is to improve our lives. We understand that this can help us in life. We want to be more calm, more peaceful, have less stress, less worries, less anxiety, and we want to get rid of all the suffering, all the discontent we have in life. And this is a really good reason to come. This is the best reason to come to meditation and to come to practice Dhamma. We recognize that in life there is this dukkha, this suffering, this unsatisfactoriness, and we recognize that we are the ones who can put an end to it and who can alleviate it. And one of the things we notice sometimes is that some people, when they come to start practice, it seems to click with them very well. They seem to be able to really get into meditation. They like sitting meditation. They can sometimes sit for a very long time. They seem like they're getting results from their practice. They're more peaceful. They're able to deal with circumstances in life much better. And just looking at them, you can see that it seems, at least from the outside, it seems like they're really benefiting from their practice. But then sometimes when we look at ourselves, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. Sometimes, it can feel like we're not really getting the results we wanted from our practice, or the results that we think we should be getting from our practice. And then what can happen is you can start getting discouraged. You can start getting down on yourself. You can really start getting hard on yourself. You start thinking, oh, wow, it's never going to work for me. It worked for these other people, but it's not going to work for me. Maybe there's something wrong with me, or I'm just a failure. And then it can spiral out of control, and you can get more and more discouraged like this. And then in some of the worst cases of it, the person will end up giving up practice altogether and just be so down and hard on themselves that they just give up the practice, stop meditating. I've even seen a couple monks over the years who this has happened to them too. They end up disrobing. They say, well, I'm not getting the results from the practice I thought I should be. So I'm just going to disrobe and become a layman. And it's really sad because when you're looking from the outside, it looks like they actually are getting some results. And so it's either they don't see the results themselves, or their expectations of what kind of results they should be getting are wrong, or are um, uh, much higher than what's realistic. So for when we come to practice and we're putting our effort into practice, we can't control when the results are going to come. The results will come on their own and in their own time. Um, Lumpur Biek used to talk about this. He was saying, you can't predict when you're going to get certain results from your practice. They'll come on their own. So sometimes, people want to make a determination or kind of set a goal, or set that, say, by the end of this retreat, I'm going to have this certain level of meditation, this certain level of samadhi. By the end of this retreat, I'll have upajara samadhi or jhana or one of the levels of absorption. Or, they'll start practicing and they'll be like, okay, in 2 years, I want to be enlightened. I want to be fully enlightened in 2 years. And it just doesn't work like that. We can't control when the results. We can, for practicing, it's what we need to focus on is putting down the causes and conditions. And then the results are going to come on their own. The simile we always hear is the simile of planting a plant. You plant a seed. Say you want to grow a tree. You can't control the speed that the tree grows. You plant the seed and then you water it and you fertilize it and you make sure it gets lots of sun. And as long as you keep doing that, putting the causes and conditions for it to grow, it'll grow on its own. You can't, once it starts sprouting, you can't start pulling on the leaves or pulling on the stem to make it grow faster. It'll just go on its own. And some plants will grow faster and some grow slower. But as long as we're taking care of them properly, they're going to grow. But sometimes we expect things to happen, and we expect things to happen very quickly. There was this monk, Lumpur Mahamon, and he was one of the most senior disciples of Ajahn Chah. And Lumpur Mahamon, he became a novice at 13 years old. And so he ended up spending 67 years as a monk before he died. Well, 7 as a novice and 60 as a monk. And but he didn't ordain with Ajahn Chah. He had actually ordained in the study tradition. And so he was studying Pali, and he went to Bangkok and to study Pali. He was from Northeast Thailand, way out in Northeast Thailand, went to Bangkok and was studying all this Pali and did all his Pali exams. And I think he got up to a 6th level of Pali. So this is pretty high. There's 9 levels in total. And then he eventually went back to Ubon province, the province he was from, the same province Lumpur Cha was from. And at Lumpur Mahamorn started a Pali Study Institute. And then after a while, he decided that he didn't want to just study the text. He wanted to actually practice what the Buddha taught, not just study what the Buddha taught. So he went to look for a teacher, and he ended up finding Ajahn Chah. And he was already had been a monk for quite a long time, almost 20 years at this point. And he went and started living with Ajahn Chah. And then after 2 years of being there, he was getting discouraged because he wasn't enlightened yet. So he went up to Ajahn Chah one day and was telling him this, was like, I've been practicing for 2 years here and I'm not enlightened yet. And Ajahn Chah said to him, it took the Buddha 6 years to become enlightened. Do you think you're better than the Buddha? And and so this teaching really affected him. It really worked, this teaching on him, because sometimes we have this unrealistic expectations on the speed that we're going to get results. So it's there's a lot, you can draw a lot of similarities between Dhamma practice and exercise and fitness. So one of the when I was a layman, one of the things they said was one of the major causes for people to give up on exercise was they didn't get results as quick as they thought they should. So someone starts going to the gym, they've never been before, and they start going to the gym for a few weeks, and they're really exercising, lifting all the weights, really going at it really hard. But then after a few weeks, they're all disappointed because they're not a big bodybuilder like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I guess an old reference, I guess I'm showing my age, but and they get discouraged by that, and so they drop out, and they just don't wait long enough to get the results that they were looking for. And because it's similar with practice, it takes time, and a lot of times the results we're getting and the changes that are happening in us are very gradual for us. So we're maybe not seeing it as quickly as we'd expect, or we don't see it because we're getting used to the changes. So we'd see this at Wat Nanachat. You'd have, because it's a monastery for international monks in Thailand, you don't have family living nearby. You don't have family in the same country. Usually you don't have family in the same continent. So you wouldn't see your family very often. Families come visit maybe once a year, once every few years. But they'd see the difference. And so they'd see and be like, wow, you've changed a lot. You've really improved a lot, because we get so used to it because the change is coming so gradually. And so it's really important for us to just work on putting down the causes and conditions, and being patient with when the changes are going to come. But one of the other problems I think happens for people is sometimes, especially with meditation, is they have these kind of wrong ideas and wrong views on what kind of results they should be getting from their meditation. So sometimes people are expecting that, you've been meditating for a while and you should be getting, just every time you sit, bliss upon bliss upon bliss, and just really happy. And that can happen, but it takes a lot of time, and it's not necessarily every time you sit that's going to happen. So, sometimes you get good sits, sometimes you don't get good sits, and that's just kind of how it is. Or sometimes people are expecting some kind of like esoteric experience to be happening when they meditate, seeing, all kinds of lights or some kind of almost psychedelic experiences to be happening when they meditate. And again, it doesn't usually happen like that. And and but you do, when you're practicing, you can sometimes, when you hit certain points, you will get certain experiences, but they'll be different for different people. So one of the things which will happen is at a certain point, you can start getting what's called piti arising in your meditation. Piti means, usually translated as rapture, but there's different types of this piti, this rapture, which can arise for different people. So sometimes you might start feeling like your body's expanding, might feel like it's expanded to be as big as the room, as big as the building, as big as the city, as big as the whole planet. Other types of piti, sometimes you feel like you're levitating. You're not actually levitating. It's just a feeling, and you just feel like you're levitating. Or you might feel like you're shaking, or waves are going through you, but you're still sitting absolutely still. There's all these different types that you can get, and for different people, they'll be different and experience them differently. So sometimes what can happen is you start getting these experiences. You're getting this piti, this rapture, and then after a while, you're not getting it anymore. And you might think, oh no, I've ruined my meditation. This isn't happening anymore. But um, just as a natural progression in practice is, you know, um, the piti, these experiences will happen in the beginning like that. But then as your meditation gets better, they'll go away. So these are kind of exciting experiences. But as you get more peaceful and more peaceful in your meditation gets more peaceful, you don't get these experiences so much. Lumpur Biak used to tell us that, that in the beginning you can get these types of piti, but as your meditation gets deeper, you won't get that same experience. But it can lead people to misunderstanding that and thinking, oh, I've lost it. So that means um, I've lost my meditation. But they really need to be looking at, oh, actually, am I more peaceful? Am I getting more calm? Is the meditation more peaceful? But it's also important, if we are getting these experiences of piti in our meditation, that's okay. That happiness from it, it's an okay happiness. It's okay to enjoy that happiness. Meditation is something, we can really enjoy the happiness we get in our meditation. One of the things you sometimes hear in the Thai forest tradition is some of the big ajahns will talk about being careful not to get what they call stuck in samadhi, so stuck in concentration. And this means like you get so attached to the bliss and the happiness of the concentration that you don't develop wisdom, you don't do any contemplation. And but I remember Lumpur Biak was saying, in his opinion, it's actually not that bad. He said, if you get stuck in samadhi, don't worry about it. It's easy to fix. And I knew this one senior monk, and he was a Western senior monk, and he was saying before that when he was a junior monk, it was like this for him. He'd start meditating, and he'd start getting these experiences of piti and this real happiness coming up. So he'd get really afraid because he get afraid that he was going to get stuck in this, and he would, and it would be an obstacle. So this actually became a barrier to him, and became a barrier to him in his meditation, until he went to live with a different senior monk, and that monk, explained to him, it's like, no, this is okay. This is a type of happiness that it's okay to enjoy. And so after that, and he started to enjoy it, and his meditation really developed after that. So it's so it's important for us to, when we're meditating, having these kind of realistic goals and realistic understandings of what kind of results we should be getting in our practice. And it's also really good to remember that practice, it's a holistic thing. So sometimes, it's affects our whole life, not just the period we're meditating. So you might get it's easy to sometimes get too focused on day by day, if my meditation was good or if my meditation wasn't good. You get a day where the meditation was good. You're like, oh, great, practice is going great. Then you get a day where your meditation is bad, and you're like, oh no, I've completely failed. My meditation is, and so you're kind of, your moods and everything are kind of up and down based on how good you feel your meditation was. But again, look at the overall, how you're feeling, how you're doing overall. So it's one of those things. Sometimes you may sit to meditate and you feel it was difficult. You feel your mind was all over the place. The whole meditation session was just constantly bringing your mind back to your meditation object. Lose it. Mind wanders off. You bring it back to your meditation again. Lose it. Mind wanders off. And you spend your whole half hour or hour, however long you're meditating like that. And you think afterwards, you're like, oh man, that was a terrible meditation. But actually try to compare your mind, how it was before versus how it is after. So it might be, okay, it was a struggle calming the mind down, but actually now my mind feels so much more peaceful after the meditation than it did before I meditated. So being able to look at results like that in your life, and also look at other areas of your life. Again, practicing Dhamma and meditation, it's to improve our life overall. So you might look at, okay, well, I've been practicing for a while. Um, how am I for dealing with situations in life? Am I losing my temper as much as I did before? Getting caught up in anger before? Maybe before, every time that anger started to arise, I would lose it and lose to the anger every time, 10 times out of 10. But oh, actually, now it's only 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10. So you can see there's results. The practice is going in the right direction. You might say, oh, I've actually learned um, these good skills for dealing with these different situations. So, okay, I'm actually doing much better at dealing with these different situations in life. But if it does hit the point where we've been practicing for a long period of time, and we uh, and we really don't feel that we're improving much, then that's when we really need to uh, take a step back and reflect on what we're doing in our practice, just to make sure we're doing stuff properly. So, for example, if we feel where meditation isn't really progressing, or we're not getting more peaceful in life, not getting less stress, maybe look at what we're doing outside of our meditation. So we might, meditate, say, an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, but the rest of the day we're spent playing video games and, doing drugs or something, and getting all our minds all worked up. And, it's the same as like, if someone's trying to get in really good shape, and they go to the gym, and, go to the gym once a day and they exercise for an hour, but then right after the gym, they go and spend the rest of the day at McDonald's, you know, they're, it's going to affect the results they get, affect how in shape they get. So it can be the same with us. We have to look at what we're doing in the rest of our lives. And again, looking at those expectations we have. So it could be, if we sit meditation, 20 minutes a day, and then we start getting disappointed on ourselves. Oh, we try to sit for 4 hours and we can't do it. And it's like, well, we've never done it before. It's we have to build up to doing that. It'd be the same again for a exercise reference. It'd be the same if we go to the gym and we only lift the 5 pound weight. We do every time day we go in and we do 3 curls at 5 pounds. And then one day we go in and we want to lift 50 pounds. We won't be able to do it. We haven't put down the causes and conditions to get there. We have to slowly build up our practice, build up the amount of time that we've been meditating. But it's important for us to, yeah, just keep ourselves encouraged. Don't let ourselves fall into that mind state of getting hard and I'm not good enough, I'm not progressing enough, and don't compare yourself to other people, and just keep doing the practice, keep putting down the causes and conditions, keep learning Dhamma, keep practicing meditation, learning different skills to help improve our meditation, and different skills to help us deal with these different difficulties in life. And then we will progress, and eventually we keep at it long enough and we will become enlightened. So I'd like to offer that as a bit of a encouragement and a bit of a reflection for everyone this evening.